Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, continuing chapter 8, God-Intoxicated State. On page 338, Vijay says to Sri Ramakrishna, "I have no time, sir. I am entangled in my duties here." Master, you are a religious teacher. Others have holidays, but not so a religious teacher. When the manager of an estate brings order to one part of it, the landlord sends him to another part. So you have no leisure. All laugh. Vijay with folded hands, "Sir, please give me your blessing." Master, now you are talking like an ignorant person. It is God alone who blesses. Vijay, "Revered sir, please give us some instruction." Master, one can realize God in the world too, but only if one is sincere. I and mine, that is ignorance. But, O God, thou and thine, that is knowledge. I ask people to renounce mentally. I do not ask them to give up the world. If one lives in the world unattached and seeks God with sincerity, then one is able to attain him. To Vijay, there was a time when I too would meditate on God with my eyes closed. That is an allusion to the Brahma way of meditating on God. Then I said to myself, does God exist only when I think of him with my eyes closed? Doesn't he exist when I look around with my eyes open? Now, when I look around with my eyes open, I see that God dwells in all beings. He is the indwelling spirit of all, men, animals, and other living beings, trees, plants, sun and moon, land and water. Sri Ramakrishna was about to depart. The Brahmo devotees bowed low before him, and he returned their salute. Then, getting into the carriage, he set out for Adhar's house to see the image of the Divine Mother. Saturday, October 11th, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna lay on the small couch in his room at the Dakshineswar temple garden. It was about 2 p.m. M and Priya Mukherjee were sitting on the floor. M had left his school at 1 o'clock and had just arrived at Dakshineswar. The master warned the devotees about the danger of lust and greed. Master, those who develop dispassion from early youth, those who roam about yearning for God from boyhood, those who renounce all worldly life, belong to a different class. They belong to an unsullied aristocracy. People who practice renunciation from early youth belong to a very high level. Their ideal is very pure. They are stainless. A Brahmin from Sindhi entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. He had studied Vedanta in Benares. He was stout and had a smiling face. "Master, hello, how are you? You haven't been here in a long time." "Why so?" Pundit, smiling. "Worldly duties, sir. You know I have very little leisure." The pundit sat down and the master began to talk with him. "Master, you spent a long time in Benares. Tell us what you saw there. Tell us something about Dayananda." Pundit, "Yes, I met him. You also met him. I saw Colonel Alcott, too. The Theosophists believe in the existence of Mahatmas. They also speak of the lunar, solar, stellar, and other planes. A Theosophist can go in his astral body to all these planes. Oh, Alcott said many such things. Well, sir, what do you think of Theosophy?" Master, the one essential thing is bhakti. loving devotion to God. Do theosophists seek bhakti? They are good if they do. If theosophy makes the realization of God the goal in life, then it is good. One cannot seek God if one constantly busies oneself with the Mahatmas and the lunar, solar, and stellar planes. A man should practice spiritual discipline and pray to God with a longing heart for love at his lotus feet. He should direct his mind to God alone, withdrawing it from the various objects of the world. You may speak of the scriptures of philosophy, of Vedanta, but you will not find God in any of these. You will never succeed in realizing God unless your soul becomes restless for Him. One must practice intense spiritual discipline. Can one obtain the vision of God all of a sudden without any preparation? A man asked me, "Why don't I see God?" I said to him as the idea came to my mind, "You want to catch a big fish. First, make arrangements for it. Throw spiced bait into the water. Get a line and a rod. At the smell of the bait, the fish will come from the deep water. By the movement of the water, you will know that a big fish has come. You want to eat butter, but what will you achieve by simply repeating that there is butter in milk? You have to work hard for it. Only thus can you separate butter from milk. Can one see God by merely repeating, 'God exists'? One needs to practice spiritual discipline." To the Pundit, "It is good to live in the company of holy men now and then. The disease of worldliness has become chronic in man. It is mitigated to a great extent in holy company. I and mine, that is ignorance. True knowledge makes one feel, 'O God, you do everything. You alone are my own. And to you alone belong houses, buildings, family, relatives, friends, the whole world. All is yours.' But ignorance makes one feel, 'I am doing everything. I am the doer. House, buildings, family, children, friends, and property are all mine.' Once a teacher was explaining all this to a disciple. He said, 'God alone and no one else is your own.' The disciple said, 'But, revered sir, my mother, my wife, and my other relatives take very good care of me. They see nothing but darkness when I am not present. How much they love me.' The teacher said, 'There you are mistaken. I shall show you presently that nobody is your own. Take these few pills with you. When you go home, swallow them and lie down in bed. People will think you are dead, but you will remain conscious of the outside world, and you will see and hear everything. Then I shall visit your home.' The disciple followed the instructions. He swallowed the pills and lay as if unconscious in his bed. His mother, wife, and other relatives began to cry. Just then the teacher arrived in the guise of a physician and asked the cause of their grief. When they had told him everything, he said to them, 'Here is a medicine for him. It will bring him back to life. But I must tell you something. This medicine must first be taken by one of his relatives and then given to him. But the relative who takes it first will die. I see his mother, his wife, and others here. Certainly one of you will volunteer to take the medicine. Then the young man will come back to life.' The disciple heard all this. First the physician called his mother, who was weeping and rolling on the ground in grief. He said to her, "Mother, you don't need to weep anymore. Take this medicine and your son will come to life, but you will die." The mother took the medicine in her hand and began to think. After much reflection, she said to the physician, with tears in her eyes, "My son, I have a few more children. I have to think about them too. I am wondering what will happen to them if I die. Who will feed them and look after them?" The physician next called the wife and handed the medicine to her. She had been weeping bitterly too. With the medicine in her hand, she also began to reflect. She had heard that she would die from the effect of the medicine. At last, with tears in her eyes, she said, "He has met his fate. If I die, what will happen to my young children? Who will keep them alive? How can I take the medicine?" In the meantime, the disciple had got over the effect of the pills. He was now convinced that nobody was really his own. He jumped out of bed and left the place with his teacher. The Guru said to him, "There is only one whom you may call your own, and that is God. Therefore, a man should act in such a way that he may have bhakti at God's lotus feet and love God as his very own. You see this world around you. It exists for you only for a couple of days. There is nothing to it." Pandit, smiling, "Revered sir, I feel a spirit of total renunciation when I am here. I feel like going away, giving up the world." "Master, no, why should you give up? Give up mentally. Live unattached in the world." Surendra wanted to spend the night here occasionally. He brought a bed and even spent a day or two here. Then his wife said to him, "You may go anywhere you like during the daytime, but at night you must not leave home." What could poor Surendra do? Now he has no way of spending the night away from home. The Pandit from Sinthi left. It was dusk. Twilight hung over the Panchavati, the temples, and the river. Evening worship began in the different temples. Sri Ramakrishna bowed before the pictures of the deities in his room. He was sitting on the small couch in an abstracted mood. A few devotees were on the floor. There was silence in the room. An hour passed. Ishan and Kishori entered and sat down on the floor after saluting Sri Ramakrishna. Ishan was a great ritualist, devoted to the performance of the various rites and ceremonies prescribed by the scriptures. The master opened the conversation. "Master, can one attain knowledge of God by merely repeating the word God?" There are two indications of such knowledge. First, longing, that is to say, love for God. You may indulge in reasoning or discussion, but if you feel no longing or love, it is all futile. Second, the awakening of the Kundalini. As long as the Kundalini remains asleep, you have not attained knowledge of God. You may be spending hours poring over books or discussing philosophy, but if you have no inner restlessness for God, you have no knowledge of Him. When the Kundalini is awakened, one develops feeling, devotion, and love for God. This is the path of devotion. The path of karma, here signifying religious rites and rituals, is very difficult. Through it, one obtains some powers, occult powers. Ishan, let me go and see Hazra. Sri Ramakrishna sat in silence. After a while, Ishan returned to the room, accompanied by Hazra. The master was still silent. After a few moments later, Hazra whispered to Ishan, "Let's leave him alone. Perhaps he will meditate now." Both left the room. Sri Ramakrishna was still silent. In a few moments, the devotees noticed that he was really meditating. Then he performed japa. He placed his right hand on his head, then on his forehead, then on his throat, then on his heart, and last of all on his navel. Was it meditation on the Kundalini in the 6 centers of the body? Ishan and Hazra had gone to the Kali temple. Sri Ramakrishna was absorbed in meditation. Meanwhile, Adhar had arrived. It was about 7:30. End of today's reading.